When people talk about the World Cup, there's one idea that seems almost automatic. Brazil is always one of the favorites. After all, the country has 5 world titles, legendary players, and a football history that feels unmatched. But has that always been true? Or is that reputation something that was built over time, victory after victory? At the very first World Cup in 1930, the situation was completely different. Football was still developing in Brazil, and the national team was nowhere near the powerhouse it is today. Back then, the biggest football nations were in Europe and Uruguay, which dominated the global stage. Brazil participated, but was eliminated in the opening round. What's most interesting is that nobody was really surprised. At that point, Brazil simply wasn't viewed as a football giant. Things only started to change in 1950. Playing at home in front of massive crowds and with a very strong squad, Brazil was considered a favorite for the first time. The team played exciting football, scored plenty of goals, and seemed a step ahead of its opponents. Confidence was so high that many people already saw the title as inevitable. It was during this tournament that an idea was born, one that would follow the country for decades. The belief that Brazil had something special when it came to football. But it was between 1958 and 1970 that this image truly became reality. With the emergence of players like Pelé, Brazil went from being competitive to dominating world football. The country won 3 World Cups in just over a decade. And it wasn't only about winning. Brazil captivated audiences. This was the era of the famous, beautiful game, defined by creativity, flair, and a unique style that the entire world admired. From that moment on, everything changed. Brazil no longer entered World Cups as just a strong team, it became the team everyone wanted to beat. Even with all that history, however, Brazil has not always arrived as the clear favorite. In 1982, for example, the national team featured one of the most talented squads ever assembled, with players like Zico, Socrates, and Falcao. Their football was beautiful, attacking, and is still remembered fondly today. Yet, interestingly, they were not widely considered the tournament's main favorites at the time. In 1994, the story was different. Brazil won the World Cup, but with a style that contrasted sharply with its past. It was a more balanced, strategic team, less focused on spectacle and more focused on efficiency. It proved that the favorite is not always the most entertaining team, and that there are different paths to becoming world champion. Perhaps the best example of this came in 2002. Few people truly believed in that squad. Brazil entered the tournament surrounded by criticism, doubts, and concerns after a difficult qualification campaign. Many questioned whether the team was capable of competing at the highest level. But once the tournament began, the story changed completely. Through outstanding performances and decisive players, Brazil went on to win the World Cup, surprising much of the football world. And that brings us to an unavoidable question. What about today? Does Brazil still enter tournaments as a favorite, or has that reputation become more a part of its history than its present? Even with a new generation of talented players emerging, opinions seem divided. Some believe the current squad has everything it takes to compete for another title, while others feel the country's golden era is behind it. The truth is that Brazil was not always a favorite, but over time, it built a legacy strong enough to carry that expectation into every World Cup. Maybe that is what makes the Brazilian national team so unique. No matter the era, Brazil always steps onto the field with something to prove. What do you think? Is Brazil still one of the favorites today, or does it need to earn that status back? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your opinion.